Hi, this is Kristin West, and you're listening to the Movie Rate Show.
It's time for the Movie Rate, and tonight's victim is actress and also interviewer, Kristin West. Hello.
Hi, Mike. Glad to be here.
Yes, so you got a new film, or at least a film that's been circulated in all these festivals called The Carding Call. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. It's a fun film. Carding Call is a piece of cultural jargon that a lot of people in the food delivery service use when somebody requests food on like an app like Postmates or Grubhub, and then the order gets canceled or the delivery driver somehow gets duped. And The Carding Call is about a female delivery driver named Robin, who basically has a horrific night delivering food, and she encounters all sorts of weird, crazy, and dangerous personalities while she's just trying to make a living delivering food. And it's a great film produced by Candace Callens and Armin Nasseri and directed by Armin Nasseri, and it's been doing really well at film festivals.
Oh, very, very nice. Is this also local within those festivals, or are you actually shipping this out to other states as well?
We've been local. We haven't gotten an official selection abroad yet, to the best of my knowledge, but we've been playing in various parts of the U.S. And also, this film is unique in that it actually premiered on the web-based, blockchain-based streaming service Bitmovio. It premiered on Bitmovio, which basically people could pay in cryptocurrency to see it, which was kind of fun to be part of blockchain and cryptocurrency history, that we premiered our film on a blockchain-based streaming service.
Well, that's very nice, very nice. It's something new. I haven't heard of this before. As far as, at least I haven't. I don't know about you guys, but I haven't heard of this before. That sounds interesting. So do we expect any kind of release date, or is this still going to be in progress in terms of where it's actually going to hit, or like DVD or anything like that?
I imagine it's going to be playing at film festivals for at least another 6 months to a year. Then after that, I don't know exactly what plans Armin and Candace have for it, but I know it will be at various film festivals, which I will keep people updated on my fan pages of where to see it. It's a fun romp of a film, and it deals with a lot of different issues. It deals with women's safety, it deals with technology, it deals with racism, it deals with mental health, and it's sort of a genre-bending film. It's not a straight horror film. It does have some thriller elements and a little bit of horror comedy sprinkled in too. It's a very unique film.
Do you have any other projects going on as well? Is this the main thing that you pretty much have been focusing on since then?
I'm attached to various projects at various different stages of development. A few feature films I can't talk about right now because we're not allowed to talk about them yet. But every Wednesday, I'm on What Women Want with Judy Goss, and what that is a talk show for the woman entrepreneur, and we talk about entrepreneurship, of course. We talk about work-life balance. We actually just had a fun conversation about complicated relationships. So we talk about relating and with partners and what happens, when one partner makes more money than another, and conflict within relationships. So we really address the whole woman in our show, and I'm on that show every Wednesday evening, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. It airs on Facebook Live with Judy, and we bring in expert guests to talk about women's issues. And here's the thing, though. You don't have to be a woman to enjoy the show. I think a lot of men don't watch the show because they think, oh, well, it's what women want. Well, I think some of the issues that we talk about could really relate to men, too. So men are always welcome to watch the show. And I've been doing that show with Judy for 2 years now. Judy has been doing the show for 5 years. And we've had some great guests on that show in the past. Judy interviewed Marcia Clark a few years back. We've had Jean Chatzky from The Today Show. She's the financial editor of The Today Show. We've had Oscar nominees like Sally Kirkland. We've had Grammy winners like Steve Dorff, the film and TV composer, songwriter. We've had a lot of great guests on that show, and so I'm just very lucky to have that in my life every Wednesday and get to chat up some great people.
Well, that sounds very, very charming as well. Now, you also have your other show as well that you have done with actors as well. Now, between the acting and then as well as this show, have you ever either mistakenly used another actor's experience and character, or do you think this is more of an advantage, or would you actually incorporate that to help you as an actor?
Here's the thing is that when you're taught acting, you're taught technique. And most people are taught to learn method, or you learn the lather technique and you have a technique. Acting is, I think, a combination of technique and inspiration. I don't think I've ever borrowed from another actor's lived experience. If I did, it was completely subconscious. Where I try to work from is, how does this character, in what ways is this character similar to me? In what ways is this character different than me? How can I build a bridge from myself, as I know and understand myself, Kristin the person, to be this character? What part, if you're playing a sadistic character, well, what parts of me are deeply sadistic? Did I have a sadistic feeling towards someone in the past week? What did that feel like? Like in The Carding Call. The character I play is Carla, and she has what, in common jargon, multiple personality disorder. The real name of that disorder now, it's been updated, is dissociative identity disorder, where someone has multiple expressions of different personalities in the same body. Well, as an actor, I do that all the time. I try and exercise different personalities. That's the job. Well, what happens when I do that and I don't have control of it? That's part of what I had to do with playing Carla in The Carding Call. Is, okay, I have control over the personality traits I exhibit. What happens when you lose that control? I try and work from my lived experience first before I try and co-opt someone else. Occasionally, though, part of acting is observing and observing other people. So everybody has a crazy aunt or a crazy uncle or a crazy cousin that has a very specific personality, and some actors use mimicry, and that has a place in my work too, to a point, but I wouldn't say it's where I go first.
When it comes to the acting, do you think you have to be personal in terms of the presenting a character, and also being impersonal by the outcome of how you present on the end of it?
It depends. When I was in acting school at about around the same time that Heath Ledger died, and I remember one of my instructors saying, "I don't want any of you to die of acting." Sometimes you have to know as a person your own limits and how deeply you can explore your pain, your angst, your anger, your jealousy, your greed, whatever of the 7 deadly sins you're dealing with. You need to know how deep you can swim in those depths. Sometimes you can go really personal, and sometimes you can't. I will tell you, that's where I would say that's where technique comes in too. Actors live lives outside of the roles you see on screen. You may book a job while you're getting a divorce. You may book a job while someone you love has died. I've had that happen to me twice. And sometimes at that point, it's not a good idea to go into your immediate pain. That's when you realize and use technique. But it's an actor's responsibility to know how deep they can swim in certain times and in certain places.
Yeah, sometimes you can't pull yourself out, and maybe you don't know how to pull yourself out. And if you do try this, I mean, sure, you can get the emotion out, and yeah, you can succeed of whatever character that you're trying to pull out. But at the same time, once it's over with, I mean, this is something that is going to stick with you. I mean, mentally, you gotta shake that off in some way or form. And if you can't do that right away and you're still in that kind of mentality, this is something that you have to figure out how you're going to go off on your own and try to just let it dissipate on its own, or try to figure out a way how to get rid of it before you go into a more dangerous part of your life.
I think one of the things is that actors hunger for emotional depth and they hunger for meaning. And I would also say recognition too, to a point. At the same time, I want to explore all of these emotions, but sometimes you need a Sherpa. And especially if you're going through a life challenge, like a death, like a divorce, something that's very stressful, I think it would pay to have someone that you trust, an acting partner, someone in class you've been with that you trust. You have a good relationship with a handler, like a manager, and say, I'm going through some stuff. I would just appreciate that you check on me from time to time. I'm going through this because I remember the difference. In all honesty, the first time I had someone pass away while I was in an acting situation, it was doing Othello on stage. And I will tell you, Mike, a year later, I would hear Othello, a different production of Othello, and I could not get through it without. That was the first time that I'd had someone die while I was acting, and just those two traumas in my mind kind of became intertwined. Now I can watch Othello just fine, and that saying, time heals all wounds. But at that time, I didn't have the tools. I felt like I had to push. I just didn't have the support I wanted and I needed at that time. Then about 2.5 years ago, I was doing a film, and I had another person dear to me pass away, and I had the tools then. and I had someone in my life looking out for me and checking in on me, and that made all the difference. But people, you have to realize that part of being an actor is being vulnerable, and that's what we love about actors, is that they reflect the vulnerability that we don't allow ourselves to feel. Sometimes vulnerable means you have the ability to get hurt. You have to recognize that in yourself as an actor, is that you need to be vulnerable, but you also need to be pragmatic about how vulnerable you are.
Yeah, definitely, because there's so much going on within that actor's life, and from internally out and outside of it, there's all kinds of things going on. But when it comes to the social climatic media, do you think it can actually decrease an actor's image if they choose not to even use the media to their advantage in some of these aspects of their career?
I think what's happened is that there's a big blur between public life and private life, and that there are some parts of you that need to remain private for your own safety, for your own wholeness. I think everybody in the United States, we have a right to privacy. It's an important thing, is that there are some parts of your life and your existence that are better left to be private. And I think for people in the public eye, it's important that that's always a dynamic balance. How much of my life is public facing and how much of my life is private facing? And that's always something that has to be negotiated at all levels. And I wouldn't even say it's specific to actors and reality stars and TV personalities. If you're in any business where you face the public, you have the challenge of negotiating your private life and your public life. And when your private life gets violated in any way, it's pretty unnerving. I think it's a dynamic balance that people have to constantly negotiate, and it's very hard to do in a world where information is available all the time via social media, via the internet. Is that we have this constant lust, this greed, this hunger for information, especially about people we admire and even people we don't feel so friendly towards. We have this sort of hunger and lust for information, and it's a struggle. The struggle is real when it comes to finding that balance between public and private life.
When it comes to the acting perspective view of things, do you think it's more applicable with value over volume in the comedy itself, or not just other films?
People believe in singular causality. This leads to that, and that leads to that. Causality, for me, is kind of like a bubble. Like there's different little bubbles that pop that lead to certain things. I think for me, my quest is the work I'm doing relevant? Is the work I'm doing good? Different actors have different values. Some people feel really drawn towards comedy, and it's like a religion for them. And a lot of our best comedians, comedy is their religion. They eat, breathe, and sleep comedy. They are specialists in comedy. They worship at the altar of comedy. And that's great. Some people get very invested in a particular genre or a particular type of film or something like that. Most actors, you have any actor out there, a lot of them will just say, I don't care what it is, I just want to work. For me, of course I want to work. I want to work all the time. Please, let me work. There are certain things I aspire to do that I haven't done. I haven't done a historical costume drama. There are different aspirations, but a lot of times actors comes to them within reason. For every big headline you see, if someone's being considered for this role in like Variety or the Hollywood Reporter, there are 20,000 actors, 30,000 actors, 50,000 actors just wanting to get a commercial, and have a commercial and to work. At different stages of your career, you have different priorities, I guess, is really the true and authentic answer to that.
Now go ahead and plug in any websites that you'd like to plug in, anything that we can check out right now or might check out within the following year and so forth.
My personal page is KristinWestBlog.com, and that is my personal blog. I update it pretty regularly. That's where my personal homepage. On Facebook, you can find me at Kristin West Actress. That's for my acting updates, and at Host Kristin West. That's for any of the talk show content that I put out. That's basically where you can find me on Twitter at the Kristin West and on Instagram at the Kristin West. I know the Carding Call has its own Facebook page as well, which I've tagged into some of our posts. And yeah, that's where you find information about me and what I'm up to.
Well, there you have it, everybody. That is actress Kristin West.